we're live.
And we're live.
Awesome.
Hey, good Friday afternoon.
Same to you, my friend.
Welcome. It's always good to be back. Two favorite realtors on the internet, Sandy Roberts
and Bryant Lovett. Both Lovett properties, and
That's
excited
right.
to be with you guys here this afternoon.
Absolutely.
So, this muggy,
I know.
rainy, yeah.
But I have heard, beautiful part, second part of the weekend.
He's coming.
So folks, just hang tight. You're
right.
going to be good. But you got to get through this mugginess. It does feel like the Raleigh summer has unofficially begun in terms of the humidity.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, and
you're a runner, so...
it's... You know what they call it, right? They call this humidity the poor man's altitude.
That's
So
actually amazing.
It is, but I mean, come on. Honestly, I'd rather just be in altitude where it's like
where you
cooler.
can enjoy the weather
Yeah. I mean, it's a positive spin on an otherwise just sorry situation.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe get some Colorado mountains in your view as you're running.
Seriously.
It's like...
No, I'd rather go to Umstead where the humidity it just like suffocates you and you have horseflies that follow you.
That's right.
I'd rather be that way.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we both get to wear these dope button-up, short sleeves. That's summertime right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. And real estate.
Exactly. Hey, cool. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to hit a little bit on some real estate stuff, list side, buy side.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk a little bit on the tail end of culture and something that, Brian, you and I had a great conversation. Wish we could have just taped that and thrown it up here.
We could have just put it up.
Just kind of understand a little bit on the culture side of like what, I think what has gotten us to this point with LP, what we're trying to fight for and what we're trying to work towards. Which is easier said than done. And culture, that word in itself, I'm sure, you've probably you have read a book on it. Probably
or maybe you wrote a book.
Maybe you wrote. If you do,
a book.
come talk to me. I'd like to learn from you. But listen to a podcast. Culture is kind of a buzzword of sorts. But at kind of bare brass tacks, like what does it actually mean, and what are we trying to fight for? Because really, it comes down to like when you walk into a LP team meeting on a Monday at 12, you should be able to, you're going to pick up on culture, and someone can really, outsiders should be able to kind of tangibly feel what's the vibe, like what's the feel here. So we'll get around to that.
Maybe bring a little bit of value to you guys on how to win multiple bid offer
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Sandy's got some nuggets for you. The
market
is
is
so hot.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I don't want to jump in, but you've got a stat.
I mean, it is insane just how many. It is insane how many multiple bid scenarios are rocking right now. The inventory is down again. People are still hesitant to list their home, even though things have opened back up. There's way more buying power and way more buying demand that we have out there than what we have listings for. So multiple offers. So those nuggets I think are going to be huge for you.
Yeah.
But all of my listings have been multiple offer. I don't know that I might have had maybe, I can count them on one hand the number of buyers I've helped this year that weren't in competition for the listing that we were bidding on. So it's been a crazy year. Also, record-breaking month for LP.
It's huge.
Huge.
How many?
We're now at 18 contracts.
That's huge. Wow, man.
As of today, it's about to be 20 contracts if I have it my way for the month of May.
That's huge.
That's for us for a boutique firm that's just big for us.
It's big.
It's big for us. And I don't mind saying that to like the big teams out there. They're like, ha.
I know.
That's big for us.
Big.
And that's a record-breaking month for LP. So we are we're firing on all cylinders.
Cause to celebrate.
Yep.
Hey, Brian, you were just saying, I'm not going to say what listing because we're not going to get into that kind of granular on here, but you have one, and I think this will lead into what I can maybe share a little bit on.
Yeah.
How many, first weekend for a home under, I'm not sure the price point, but let's say under 350.
Under 350. Yep.
How many showings are scheduled?
Yeah. Brian, I hope you're still with us because I think Brian might have jumped on here, but we've got 31 scheduled showings.
In a span of
it's probably been now 24 hours.
Okay.
Since we went live.
I got you. Okay.
So it's like 24 hours. And that's how many have booked and tried to make sure to see it today, tomorrow. I don't even know if we have any.
So it's like, it's within 24 hours of going active, and over, like, say, a 48-hour period, you have 31 scheduled showings. Yeah. Is that the most? Is that a record for you in terms of a listing? Showings in like a first weekend, not total.
I don't know if it's a record. I don't know if it's a record. We've had some. You've even helped me with some that have just been utter insanity. So I mean, I don't know if it's a record, but it is. Like guys, the market is hot right now.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, the showings are going up. People are eager to go see these. And a shout out to my sellers, because when you have an awesome house and you have the it factor of a house, that helps. And then, of course, shout out to my wife, who is the best real estate marketer in the market right now.
That's
and
a
none
fact.
of you guys can work with her because she's
just with LP.
She's
That's a
just
benefit.
LP.
Let's talk about a culture of
right.
excellence. All things. So, Brian, I think the thing, you bring that up, it's a great point, because on your side, you're smiling, sitting pretty. Hey, we're probably going to come out with a few offers.
Yeah.
On the buy side, I'm looking and thinking, holy smokes, if I have a buyer who's interested and is one of 31 showings, most likely will be one of multiple offers. How are we going to win out?
How are we going to win?
So maybe I can throw just a few things.
Let's start dropping.
And I mean, again, this is something I always try to learn, but I think again, one thing is, purchase price is always a separation. Going under is probably not going to work, even going at a lot of times. But factoring in that at a certain point, you have to keep in mind that it's not going to appraise over a certain amount, and the buyer is left with the responsibility of bringing that money to the table.
We call it contract is king.
And if it doesn't close. So I would say keeping purchase price in mind, which they're going to look at, and can really, I'd say, probably disqualify you from being in the running up front. Writing something into an offer that you're willing to bring, and you're not going to try to renegotiate the purchase price, but you're actually willing to bring some of that cash, knowing that it could be an appraisal, come up a little short. That's one thing. Secondly, due diligence. Again, a seller, I think, is looking, and you can help me if I'm wrong, is saying, how serious are these folks about staying in this if something does major come back through the home inspections? Or if negotiations are just, kind of tenuous, and how serious they are to see it to close. Because this, I probably put myself on the other side, but sell side, the seller does not want to go back on the market.
No.
I mean, that just kind of hurts the whole process. So picking a wrong offer can
be detrimental.
Can be really detrimental overall. Even if there are multiple and it will go back under contract, that does hurt, but kind of potential net. So due diligence is a way to separate, and I do say, you got to kind of put your money where your heart is in terms of the seriousness. And it may feel like a lot, but that money does get credited back. We're not going to get too deep. I think maybe one or two of the things that I might just throw out. I think one is, as a buyer, could we maybe put in some sort of addendum that puts a cap on how much we're going to ask, or I would say puts of a top end on above a certain amount. Below a certain amount, we're not going to ask for any repairs or concessions. So which is to say, we don't want to nitpick, right? Because some folks will say, hey, we're going to go over 15, 20K, but we expect
we're
this
asking for
everything. And you talk about a way to not bulletproof a transaction.
Correct.
That's a way right there. So that's kind of another way I think it's important to kind of keep in mind. And then too, maybe the last, but also having a flexible closing time. Because sometimes the sellers, now a lot of times they're empty, but if they're not, maybe there's a specific time that you as the buyer can say, if you are indeed, we're flexible to meet the exact move in, move out time closing to make it work for the sellers perfectly. There's a few things that are just trying to say, we want to work with you.
Guys.
So I don't know if that, I'm sure I got some folks listening that are like, hey, maybe there's some better ways. But for me, I've seen some success in doing that. Let me just ask real quick, as a listing agent seeing a lot of offers, do these things sound like they're an attractive component?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, you're hitting all the major issues, because a seller has to make sure that if they receive multiples, right? And for those who have been a seller, you can relate with this. You want to make sure that you didn't pick the wrong buyer. You want to make sure that if you're going to move forward with a buyer, right? In North Carolina, a seller is committed to their buyer. Buyers are able to walk away. Sellers cannot breach contract. So a seller is very much in that committal place. If they're going to be in a committed place, they got to make sure they're committed to the right, as the phrase goes, hitch my buggy to the right horse. Anyways, you just want to make sure that you are with the right buyer. And there's ways that we do identify whether this is going to be the right buyer to get to the closing table or not.
Huge.
You named some of the top ways that you can compete as a buyer in this market. And some of you will go, well, I just would never see myself ever doing that. Like, why would I ever pay over appraisal? Why would I ever do these things? I like to, just a little bonus round right here, real fast. I like to think about it as pre-tapping into your equity. Some of my clients know what I mean when I say this. Pre-tapping into my equity. If the market is rising If you're in an area that is hot like the Raleigh market and you know that it's going to grow by 3 to 6% every year, well then, okay, I'm doing the math in my head. How long does it take for me to essentially make back in value what I'm taking out and paying in difference between purchase and appraisal, purchase price and appraisal? So that might be a little too heady and that might be a little bit too complicated. But there are some folks that are like, why would I ever do that? And then the person that comes to the table who loves it enough to put their cash down on it, they deserve the house.
Yeah,
they really do.
Yeah, especially there's a lot of the protections for the buyer, and so due diligence is a way to protect the seller, and so that is a differentiation point.
Yeah.
Especially too, if let's say we need to neutralize the purchase price because there's a lot clustered together, it's a great way to distinguish and really kind of rise above the rest.
Also, if you're not presenting an offer letter with your offer, I'm really disappointed. This past weekend, man.
It's good. That's good. Someone needed to hear that today.
Yes.
I'm speaking prophetically. Someone needed to hear that. When you submit an offer, don't be cheesy. Don't be like, cliche, but like share a little bit about
who you are. Yeah.
Let's personalize
exactly
very non-personal transaction.
Yes. I received 12 offers on one of my listings this past weekend. Only 2 offer letters. Only 2 offer letters.
Did you accept one of those?
Or I can't remember.
Okay.
It's been too long ago.
I'm going to guess you did.
My guess is that we did.
Yeah.
And so what's amazing to me is that 10 of those people didn't think it was worth like really going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't counseled to do so, but just take it from us here today.
That's good.
At this live session.
That's good. There's so much gold. And listen, we're going to not do this next segment justice, but I want to just touch base. And I think we should come around because we are towards the tail end of our time.
That's
Thanks to everyone for jumping in.
Yep.
Even got a brother in Philly who hopped in. I really appreciate that. But just really quickly, just wanted to touch base on culture. And we're going to come back to this because I think that we're a small kind of, boutique firm based out of here in Raleigh, but do work in the Triangle.
Yep.
The reality is like what we protect of who we're trying to be, and like not only our mission, but what it feels like to be in our presence, to get to work with us, is something that we have to fight, I think, really hard to establish and then to keep, and then also to bring on people who also share that. Brian, maybe just within that. I'm trying to even ask, what's the one right question that I could kind of throw up here?
It's hard. Yeah. It's so broad. But.
When it comes to the culture that you want to see as kind of the team lead of Love It Properties, again, established by your parents, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that you feel really strongly about? For there to be a feeling of.
Yeah. I want a couple of different things. I think one starts with one's place within the whole, the way that they feel within a whole, and then how do the actions of each person affect that reality of the first thing. So, so for me, I want to make sure that everyone sees themselves as a valued individual, and that really you can really only do that in a powerful way when things are personal and they're not just business. And so. To me, it means a lot more, right, that you have, family, bills to pay, family to care for, right, than it does necessarily that you hit your target on your transactional goals. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of that is really important. So each individual agent is an individual. Each agent is an individual that matters. But then how do my actions and how do your actions and how does Allison's and Robbie's and Rob and how do everyone's individual actions affect that? And that comes right out of, we're based on Christian principles, we're based out of biblical principles, and we get that right out of Philippians 2. Consider the interests of others more important than your own. And that's kind of been the bedrock for our company. When you do that for your clients and when you do that for the agents around you, that's powerful. It's infectious. I like the word you used, fight. Like you have to fight for it, and it does take it takes sacrifice. It takes in being intentional. It's like, all right, I'm actually going to do. My phone's blowing up. Sorry. It's going to take me to say no to myself and yes to you. And we have to do that for our clients. We have to do that for each other.
And it's hard too. And I appreciate you bringing that because it's hard sometimes when that comes like at a loss of money, which is a lot of times that we are, we're trying to make a living out of this. But when you do consider others as more important than yourselves, then you don't just see it as a transaction. It's a relationship one. And there is money that's transacted. It's we are trying to make a living. But it's like, you know what, if it's more important for that person to work with that realtor because that would ruin a relationship. You need to work with them. If that means that I need to sacrifice on this end. Like the Lord, honestly, it's 100%. A faith thing. The Lord it will provide, but also on a firm wide, it's like I can't tell how many times your mom has talked to me at 11 o'clock at night when I was just literally about to lose my mind, or when she was willing to come stage or counsel. Like that is considering others more important. I'm going to set aside my sleep, even family time at points. For the sake of serving. So that's, we can sit here and we can talk beautiful, we can have all these...
grandiose.
There's a certain word that's escaping me, but there's, we can talk like we had like these... there's one word that I don't know what it is, but we can talk about like, and we can put these little mission statements, these
things that we
value
want to be,
statements,
things that we want to be,
But how they actually live out and play out in day to day that's part of the fight of like, oh man, like I don't want to give up my time. I'd rather not do this. I'd rather not give up that percentage of the commission or what the case may be. But when that's modeled and you see that played out as to you. You wanna actually be a part of doing that for others and live that within. And I think that actually is a huge differentiation between a lot of people in this industry and at least what I've seen within LP.
I'm proud of it. So we just got to keep.
I know. Oh, there's so much more to that. So fam, listen, we love to kind of touch base because I am. Some of this I think the word used earlier was heady, but I think the reality is like it's important to talk about it. But we also have to make sure those words are matched with actions. And I know that it is in this firm, but talking about that, even discrepancies we've seen or I've seen.
Oh my gosh.
So let's come back to that next week in terms as we kind of try to build out, but also like dig in and just go surgical on our culture. And maybe we can bring in someone from another industry and kind of hear what culture looks like and how they've been in bad and good and what they're fighting for.
So good. That'll be great. So hope you guys learned. Hope you guys learned something today. I know I've got even some of my clients that are logged on right now live, and we're about to like present offers even today. I see you. So it's good for some of y'all to hear some of these tips. I hope y'all learned from some of the things Sandy brought today. And then I will finish on this. No counsel can be broken down into a minute soundbite.
That's true.
So like y'all need to meet with Sandy, like at the office, maybe Zoom call, maybe whatever it looks like. But you need to pick his brain in a greater way because it needs to be dissected for you personally. Each house is different. Clients ask me, if you've worked with me before, you've heard me say this. I can't give you my opinion on this house till I've done the data. I've run the data. I've done the research. So every house is different, right? So, and every buying situation is different. So,
Bryant, Sandy, join us next week. More culture, LP. Guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.